Hello friends, it's me. I'm going to talk to you about Hagia Sophia, and you've heard about it, it's been on the news, and it's been reportedly declared today that Hagia Sophia will indeed be converted into a mosque. What I'd like to know is, where is the Pope? Where is his voice on this matter? He's dead silent, and you know why? It's because he's an absolute sellout. He's an apostate sellout, and cardinals and the faithful Catholics within his own church are calling him out as a fake, an infiltration agent, and is despicable that he is dead silent on this issue regarding Hagia Sophia. I want to turn your attention to this article, and I want to show you how the Orthodox community are feeling about this right now. This whole thing regarding this church, this once respected, once revered holy place. And let me show you what I found. It's an Orthodox article, and I'm going to flip the screen because you have to improvise. Hold on. And here we go. So this is the article, and it's found on Orthodox Times. Pope Francis' sad silence on the issue of Hagia Sophia. It's pronounced in many ways, isn't it? But listen to this. The unjustified silence of the Holy See, and personally of Pope Francis, on the burning issue of the conversion of the emblematic church of Hagia Sophia into a mosque, causes concern and sadness in the Christian world. At a time when the whole world, both religiously and politically and academically, has taken a clear stand against Turkey's intention to once again defile the temple of the wisdom of God, the loquacious and ever-sensitive Bishop of Rome is silent. This is the bit I want you to focus in on. Just let me read it because of that glare on the screen. As orthodoxia.info points out, this is the second time. Hold on a minute, you can't see on the screen. Maybe I should just read it. Let me just read it to you, okay? As Orthodoxia info points out, this is the second time in the history of Hagia Sophia that a global appeal has been made for its protection, and unfortunately Rome prefers not to get involved, as it did in 1453, when, despite Byzantine appeals for help, the army never arrived from the west, allowing Mehmed II to eventually conquer Constantinople and of course Hagia Sophia, which he converted into a mosque. Today, 560 years later, unfortunately, history repeats itself. Isn't that sad? That, I mean, we're aware of this schism that was within the Catholic Church when they had this split. Remember the Roman Empire? It had a division, the divine division, if you could call it that. Rome went to the west and set up its headquarters at the Vatican, while Orthodox Christianity was thriving in the east within the Byzantine Empire. So this emblem of historic significance within Christendom being taken over by Islam is huge, you guys. It's massive. It's a big deal. And if I can just show you something else that I read. Let me turn the screen. This beautiful place has become an abomination. Hagia Sophia will become a mosque again. It is both Turkey's and an Islamic rite. This is written in the Middle East Monitor by obviously a Muslim publisher, and the editor's name is Omar Ahmed. I want to read it to you just for the sake of showing you how they consider this ancient sort of like a huge monument in Christendom. it says, Turkey's top administrative court, the Council of State, is likely to announce today, or obviously has happened now, the restoration of the Hagia Sophia from a museum to a mosque, reversing an 86-year-old decree by the Council of Ministers under the presidency of the Republic's secularist founder Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. Once the largest and most important cathedral in the world, the UNESCO World Heritage Site was initially an Orthodox Christian church for almost 1,000 years on the orders of Byzantine Emperor Justinian in today's Istanbul, former Constantinople, named after the Emperor Constantine, who commissioned the original structure. Let me just scroll. The fall of Constantinople to Islam was foretold by the Prophet Muhammad, and successive Muslim armies had sought to fulfill this prophecy, starting with the Umayyad Caliphate as early as the 7th century. As part of its turbulent history, the Hagia Sophia was even converted into a Roman Catholic cathedral for almost 60 years during the Crusader occupation in 1204. During the Fourth Crusade. However, the city's capture would be overseen by Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II in 1453. The Hagia Sophia was converted into an imperial mosque in the empire's new capital, where it functioned as such for some 500 years before the demise of the Caliphate in 1924 in the aftermath of the First World War. That there, my friends, is what I believe was the beginning of the, if you like, I'm just going to set my camera back up here, the beginning of this hostility from Islamic Middle East towards the West. Because remember, they view the fall of the Ottoman Empire, I'm trying to fix my camera now, of the Ottoman Empire as a sad chapter in history, and what they're trying to do is to revive that Ottoman Empire dream. This very thing regarding let me just show you, this decree has been overturned unanimously. I'll read to you from Reuters. President Erdogan signed a decree on Friday opening Istanbul's Hagia Sophia as a mosque after a Turkish court annulled a 1934 government decree that had turned it into a mosque. A copy of the decision showed. Erdogan shared on his Twitter feed a copy of the decree he had signed, which said the decision had been taken to hand control of the Hagia Sophia Mosque, as it is known, to the country's religious directorate and reopen it for worship. They're going to reopen it for worship in 2 weeks, you guys. This is a clear affront to Christendom, because I've been saying in my previous videos that in the Islamic mindset, the Pope, the Catholic Church, Christendom, you know, the very part of the church that many Christians also are always bashing and mocking and calling heretical, the very Christian church is being absolutely subjugated right now. And the Pope is silent. He's a spineless git. Washington Post. It's all over the news right now. Why is it all over the news? You know why? Because the world is aware that this is Islam's clear attack on Christianity. Because people know what that cathedral represented. Turkish President Erdogan announced Friday that Istanbul's iconic Hagia Sophia would become a mosque once again, brushing aside a legacy of Turkey's secularizing modern founder, Atatürk, who converted the site to a museum more than 8 decades ago. He did that because he was trying to keep peace in the region. Remember, they overthrew the Ottoman Empire, installed this secularist Atatürk, and thus it was called Turkey, named after him. In a televised address, Erdogan said that prayers would start at the compound in 2 weeks, and that Hagia Sophia, originally a Byzantine Christian cathedral and later an Ottoman mosque, would remain open and accessible to visitors from all over the world. I quote, "We will open Hagia Sophia to worship as a mosque, preserving the common cultural heritage of humanity," whatever. He said, entrance to the site, he said, would be free of charge. Critics have argued that converting the monument would be religiously divisive and dismissive and diminish its appeal as a destination for people of all faiths. Some of the loudest warnings came from abroad, including from the United States and Greece, which is largely Orthodox Christian. But not only Greece, Russia also has raised its concerns. Russia is known for its sort of, I'm trying to find the right link to read out to you. So you've got Orthodox Christianity in Russia, Cyprus, Greece. Cyprus and Greece are under direct threat and intimidation by the Sultan of Turkey right now. And we have to keep our brothers and sisters, the Christians in those regions, in prayer. I'm concerned that things are going to get heated up over there, you guys. Remember also, in 2016, there was the Islamic Azan declared in that very place, in that cathedral, 4 years ago. So he already announced to the world that he was going to push for this, to make this Hagia Sophia a mosque. He wants to revert it back to what the Sultan did during the Ottoman Empire, you see, because he's a Sultan wannabe right now. The Muslim world, I tell you, if the Muslim world heard Erdogan declare himself as Caliph, he would have unanimous support. That would of course exclude the Shia Muslims and the Arabs, because they don't agree with that vision that he holds. Anyhow, the Bible in the book of Daniel talks about regional conflict coming, especially between the king of the north and the king of the south. That's another time's message. Erdogan's plan to turn Hagia Sophia into a mosque sparks anger in Russia. They've been pushing Russia's buttons for a long time. A lot has been going on in Russia. Well, there's so much. I wrote it down here to keep it brief. Russian interests, of course, are directly opposed to Turkey because of their involvement in Syria. They've been supporting the Assad regime by backing the rebels. But Russia is also clashing with Turkey in Libya, because both sides are supporting the opposing sides. And not only that, if you recall it, back in 2015, the Turks had shot down Russian Air Force Su-24 due to alleged airspace violation by Russia. And this happened on the Turkish-Syrian border. So Russia is being sort of pushed now into a corner. How are they going to respond to the Orthodox community within Russia? We're very indignant right now. Meanwhile, celebrations are kicking off in Turkey because they're celebrating it. This is a victory for Islam. This is how they see it. A lot of people really want to believe that Islam is just going to disappear because of the mass conversion rates to Christianity. The number of people who are now declaring on social media that they are apostates. Look at Apostate Prophet, for example. But this is Islam you're seeing in the making right now, revamping itself. It's doing a touch-up job. It's rearming, revamping, and it's going to give itself a new look, a new image that will appeal to a lot more people than it has in the past because of all the baggage that it has. This article is not coming up. I think it's a paid, it's a paid post anyway. It was a really interesting article regarding Russia getting a little fed up earlier, however, this month. If you just look at the regional instability, and there's a big dragon in that region stirring the nest. Turkey, Russia, ceasefire negotiations for Libya. Any hope for durability? This is on arabnews.com. I'm telling you, I'm keeping an eye on what's happening in this region, because this is the focus of Bible prophecy regarding the Antichrist. It's important that we pay attention to what is happening here. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said the Libyan National Army, backed by Russia and led by Eastern Libyan commander Khalifa Haftar, is willing to sign a ceasefire document. You see, they're both backing opposite ends. So with Turkey making this declaration regarding this very, very important Orthodox Christianity, in that sense, this landmark, and taking over it is causing a lot of waves in the region. Not only that, the conquering of Constantinople, as you know, is something that is within the Islamic belief system. If you recall, in their eschatology, in their end times belief, they have the various signs, and one of them includes this. You've got the minor signs and the major signs. Two things I want to mention regarding that here in relation to what's just been happening right now in Turkey is this. Think about it as a Muslim. This is a part of your end times belief. This is what you are preparing for. This is what you are looking out for. It gives them assurance. It gives them more faith. Even though you and I know the whole religion, the whole system of Islam is from the pits of hell. We know that. I'm a former Muslim. I understand that mindset very well, and I don't forget it. Some of the signs that Muslims know, when they look at what's happened now, it gives them more confidence. It emboldens them. Number one, the Romans will increase in number and fight the Muslims. That's code for the Christians, the Romans. The conquest of Constantinople. Recently, what's his name? He's still alive. Sheikh Imran Hossein. I'll put the link under this description. He said that he actually opposed what the Ottomans did by converting the church, the cathedral, Hagia Sophia, into a mosque. He said that on tape, that he opposed it. And what he's appealing to is Christian sentiment. He's appealing to Christian sentiment to try to get them on the side of Islam, because he sees Christians as a common ally against the Dajjal. Sheikh Imran Hossein is very, very popular amongst the Islamic community around the world. Why? Because he talks a lot about the end times narrative that Muslims believe in, right? So he says this, and then I was reading the scripture in 2 Thessalonians, in Daniel chapter 11, that talks about a time when this great apostasy is going to come. That's another topic. I might have to save that for another time. But there's so much to say on this. My goodness, my notepad is all over the place. Okay. Greece, Russia and Cyprus are provoked by the Hagia Sophia decree. It was an Eastern Orthodox cathedral converted into a mosque. I went through over that whole thing. Turkey by 2023 envisions for the Caliphate. And not long ago, this is last year, you guys, September. This is what Turkey said at the United Nations in September. Turkey's leader, Erdogan, spoke about how he envisions and seeks to gain observer status in United Nations and the Organization of Islamic Council, the OIC, for the Turkic Union, because he's just recently forged together another union. It's called the Turkic Union. There are 4 permanent members in the Turkic Union. Hungary has just joined and become the 5th permanent member, Turkic Union. But he wants the OIC and the Turkic Union to gain observer status at the United Nations. And remember my previous videos, I told you that by this September 2020, Turkey is going to be the president of the United Nations. So, and although that role in itself is rather conspicuous, it's not very clear as to how much power will be given. It's alleged that it will be just an observer, somebody who oversees the meetings, the delegates, and what happens in those meetings, in those conferences, rather than making a decision or taking action or vetoing anything. So, but again, I would still keep an eye on that. He also published a new map for the region. Do you remember earlier last year or late last year? It was published by the defense minister and it was up on Facebook. It showed half of Syria, north of Iraq, Greece, parts of Greece, and all of Cyprus in the hands of Turkey. Turkey states that Operation Peace Spring was to eliminate terrorists from northern Syria, secure Turkey's borders, aid in the safe return of Syrian refugees, and ensure Syrians gain to ensure Syria's territorial integrity. I mean, that's just an oxymoron. Why is he even there in the first place? Is because he's gaining a stronghold. He wants strongholds in the regions. These are notes that I made from last year regarding this that I was researching. So it's gaining a lot of ground, and it's being very bold in making these steps right now to further this vision of 2023. What happened in 2023? I had a link up here because it'd be easier for me to read. Let me read this to you. Turkey aims to achieve all EU membership conditions and become an influential EU member state by 2023. Second, it will continue to strive for regional integration in the form of security and economic cooperation. Third, it will seek to play an influential role in regional conflict resolution. That reminds me, is another statement that came out of Turkey, and I wrote it down here. Let me go and find it. It was regarding securing and rebuilding their military, their defense system, and they wanted to be totally independent, and they were aiming for the 2023 as a landmark. Okay, here it is. Ankara is making substantial headway toward making the Turkish armed forces largely indigenous and self-sufficient in order to rely less on foreign suppliers. I quote, "Our aim is to completely remove foreign dependence in the defense industry by 2023. Erdogan said that in September 2019. He also made these, do you remember he kept talking about the world is bigger than 5, talking about the 5 permanent member states in the United Nations. He said that several times. I just see a massive aeroplane fly over me. The world is bigger than 5, and he is going to try to use these next coming years. The very first 3 years right now are going to be very interesting to see what else he does. I sort of analyze the region, and I see Cyprus under threat, Greece absolutely under threat, and a clash coming between Turkey and Russia. Russia does play very smart. Russia is very smart, and I don't know if Putin will fall for this provocation. I hope that he doesn't, and I pray that there will be reasonable peace in the region, but come with it, you guys. We know what's going to happen. What does the word of God say? There's going to be lots of tribulation in the coming future, and we need to be prepared, because the Christians who have been experiencing firsthand the taste of this Antichrist beast, which is reforming, revamping itself, they know what the price is, they know the cost that they have to pay, and they're still paying it right now as I'm talking and making this recording. Pakistan is still suffering horrendously. If you go on, there's so many ministries, the persecuted church, find out exactly what's been taking place in Pakistan. We in the West, we feel so far removed from it because, well, we are. But when you consider the Muslim Brotherhood infiltration and how they are very tight with Erdogan in Turkey, they're going to try to implement those same values here in the West if we don't stop it. It's going to happen, you guys. Also, Pergamum, where Satan's throne is, you know, that mentioned in the book of Revelation chapter 2, the Lord Jesus Christ himself, let me read it. Let me read the word right now. We need the word of God. I'm so sorry for the glare on the screen. It's because I was messing around with it, wasn't I, earlier? Revelation chapter 2. Why would Jesus use these words? Verse 12. Chapter 2, Revelation, verse 12, where he's addressing the seven churches. Verse 12. And to the angel of the church in Pergamos write, these things says he who has a sharp two-edged sword. I know your works and where you dwell, where Satan's throne is. And you hold fast to my name and did not deny my faith, even in the days in which Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was killed among you, where Satan dwells. 2 times he said that is where Satan dwells. Now, do we take that metaphorically speaking? Do we allegorize that, or do we take him at his word? He literally means this is a place where Satan dwells on earth. Is it a coincidence that this region is in Turkey? And the future Antichrist beast kingdom comes out from that region? Antipas, who is he? Let me find something so I can read to you. His faithful martyr, right? We can't forget what took place in history, you guys. We need to read and really try to remember, recall to our memory, because it was so long gone. But we learn from history, you know, we learn. Antipas, a disciple of the holy apostle John, the theologian, was bishop of the church of Pergamum during the reign of the Emperor Nero. During these times, everyone who would not offer sacrifice to the idols lived under threat of either exile or execution by order of the emperor. On the island of Patmos in the Aegean Sea, the holy apostle John, the theologian, was imprisoned. He to whom the Lord revealed the future judgment of the world and of the holy church. And he quotes that verse that I just read to you. And to the angel of the church of Pergamum write the words of him who has a sharp two-edged sword. I know where you live, where the throne of Satan is, and you cleave unto my name, and have not renounced my faith, even in those days when Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you, where Satan dwells. Revelation chapter 2, verse 12 and 13. By his personal example, firm faith, and constant preaching about Christ, Saint Antipas began to turn the people of Pergamum from offering sacrifice to idols. The pagan priests reproached the bishop for leading the people away from the ancestral gods, and they demanded he stop preaching about Christ and offer sacrifice to the idols instead. They killed him eventually. The enraged pagan priests dragged Antipas to the temple of Artemis and threw him into a red-hot copper bull where usually they put the sacrifices to the idols. In the red-hot furnace, the martyr prayed loudly to God, imploring him to receive his soul and to strengthen the faith of the Christians. He went to the Lord peacefully as if he were going to sleep. This saint was a massive deliverance minister. He would cast out demons from the people in that region. He was causing so much havoc for the kingdom of darkness. Is it any wonder that he was persecuted so severely and why he ended up being martyred? At night, the Christians took the body of Antipas, which was untouched by the fire. They buried him at Pergamum. The tomb of the martyr became a font of miracles and of healings from various sicknesses. Very sad. There's more I want to talk to you about. I want to mention also, because if we rewind, what's been taking place in the last 1 year, Jerusalem also, in the theme and keeping with the theme of a temple of God regarding Hagia Sophia. Now, regarding the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, President Trump has now openly recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, which means he's put the world spotlight focus back on Jerusalem. And of course, this has caused an uprising, an uproar in the West, as well as obviously in the territories in the Middle East, right, with Hamas, with the Gazans and the Palestinians. So you see that things are speeding up towards this sort of climactic ending, should we say, that is the end of the Antichrist, when Jesus Christ returns and destroys him. Everything is going in this direction. The Sanhedrin are still preparing for the real building of the temple. It has to be built, you guys. Either the temple or the altar, because they're going to resume sacrifices, daily sacrifices, which the Antichrist will oppose. And that is what I want to talk to you about regarding the little horn and how he comes onto the scene and how he is very openly aggressive. He makes war and he attacks the saints and he desecrates the holy temple. He makes it, he defiles it. So you see, Islam has come in to show that it is here to dominate, and it's directly opposed to Christianity. Directly, it is the ultimate antichrist beast. Islam has come, remember in previous messages, it's here to subjugate and to abrogate, do away with the previous the way the things were before with Christianity. It's here to do away with it all, and it's showing it doesn't care what people think, it's going to do it. There's no such thing as coexisting, and the Pope really should be ashamed of himself. He's dead silent on this and he needs to come out and say something. Do you know what did I expect? I didn't expect him to say anything. He's a puppet. The former Pope, what was his name, Benedict, if he was still around, he would definitely have said something about it. This is becoming a long video. I'm really worked up about it, and I think this is a bad thing. It's a bad thing for Christendom. It's not a good thing, you guys. Please keep the Christians in that region in your prayers. Expect a lot of turmoil, and expect a lot more Muslims around the world to be now emboldened in their faith, more confident in attacking Christianity. So can you just take a wild guess what that does to the Christians, the minorities in the Middle East, North Africa and Asia? What does that do to them? Puts them on the hot seat, doesn't it? Pray for them, please pray. I will be back and I'll do a video regarding the little horn and go through the very many scriptures, because there's a lot here that I haven't touched on yet, and it's going to make for a long video and I don't want that. I want you to actually listen to this. If you don't mind, please share it. Thank you. There are a lot of people within Christianity who don't know the significance or not aware of the significance of what's happened. Is there anything else I could read to you just before I go? Something that I wanted to read to you, actually I missed it. It's from this website, islamiclandmarks.com. Actually, let me read it to you now. Because this mosque was built, it was around, and Muhammad would have known about it. It was there in his lifetime. The magnificent building seen today was commissioned in the 6th century by Emperor Justinian. He was determined his creation would exceed in size and splendor the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem. Work started in 532 CE and the building was inaugurated in 537. The building was therefore present during the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad. He must have known about it, talked about it, and envied it. It's no surprise that a few years after that, Islamic armies would come and take over the whole kingdom in Byzantium, Europe. Anyway, I'll end the video there.